You got me. It's Kim Komando today, and I'm here with you just the facts and tips you need to thrive in our digital world. Or, as I like to say, to live the best digital life ever. I always like to start with something really interesting, and this happened 5 years ago. That's when Amazon purchased Whole Foods for a mere $13.7 billion. Whoa, that was the biggest acquisition ever by Amazon. And since they purchased it, Amazon has been making some changes. They've actually lowered prices, and they've added a whole bunch of new checkout technology to their over 500 stores throughout the United States. And one big deal is that they've added a bunch of local brands to the stores too. I did some research about all that. So like, for example, if you're shopping in Chicago, it's going to be a lot different than if you're shopping in Chicago at a Whole Foods store. And Amazon is also trying out some new tech too. They have something called the Dash Cart. It tracks and adds things up as you put things into your shopping cart. And they're working on also licensing their palm print technology. Some of these Amazon stores let you pay by just using your palm print. So what you do is just wave your palm over the reader and it charges your Amazon account automatically. I'll tell you one thing. That's super tech right there. It's so incredibly handy. That's right. And on that happy note, welcome to Kim Komando today, because tech never stops. We've actually expanded my successful weekend show about all things digital to weekdays. That's right. Monday through Friday, you can get Kim Komando today as a podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for Komando with a K, of course. Each one's about 30 minutes, just perfect for your morning walks, your drives. Again, just search for Komando with a K wherever you get your podcast. And I'm sure you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And let me tell you, if you're just too shy to come on a national radio show or podcast, I get that. You can always drop me your questions over on our website. Head over to Komando.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim, and that's where that magic happens. All right, every single day I scour the news wires and all these different websites, and I talk to my friends. I'm talking about industry insiders every single day to keep you up to date and make sure that I'm always up to date. And in this part of the show, I like to focus on the 5 things that you need to know that's happening right now. And we're going to talk first about Meta. Okay, 2022 so far has been a disastrous year for Meta, formerly known as Facebook. That's right. Less than a year ago, listen to this number. Meta's Facebook and Instagram were valued at more than $1 trillion. Whoa, then came this meltdown. Under Mark Zuckerberg's great guidance, Meta's value over the past 9 months has plunged more than $600 billion. Wow. $600 billion from $1 trillion down to $400 billion. I know these are really huge numbers. Now, all of this has nothing to do with a bad stock market or anything like that, but it's basically just a lack of focus and misreading what people want. And right now, people aren't really that into the metaverse. So major news outlets, let me tell you, they're actually afraid of talking about this because they're going to be the target of Zuckerberg's big tech wrath and start censoring them on Facebook. But meanwhile, Wall Street is calling it the Meta meltdown and just wondering when the board of directors is just going to be so fed up that they're going to just kick him off. And what about Mark Zuckerberg? Okay, that's Meta. Let's talk about his money for just a second. He has lost a total of, I couldn't even imagine this, $71 billion since January. He's now worth $55 billion. That's still incredible money. He's now number 20 on the list of the world's richest individuals on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. His lowest position since 2014. He started the year ranked 6th, and now he's number 20. I mean, I bet you he's in therapy over all these losses, and because it's Mark Zuckerberg, we're going to call that tech support. Number 2 on our list, you're going to wish that your kids would just stick with Minecraft. Okay, Kim K. Kardashian, the other K, has a son by the name of Saint. Recently, he came running to Kim saying, "What the heck's in this ad, Mom? What's going on?" The ad was in a Roblox game. And then Kim said, "Oh, it's a game? Then we're suing them if it's a game with my name and picture." The ad in question claimed to have additional unreleased footage of her 2007 sex tape. So she has threatened to sue Roblox and saying it was clickbait. You know, it's not all fun and games. Inside Roblox, which is a wildly popular game for kids, there are condos. Condos where the kids' game goes full adult, sex games. And users chat with each other about sex, vulgar messages, remove clothes from their avatars, which I don't understand, and somehow have virtual sex too. Roblox says it's an issue, but they're saying it's a small subset of users who deliberately break the rules. And so basically, if you have a child who plays Roblox, which Kim Kardashian did not know what Roblox was, which that's a whole nother issue, make sure that you use parental controls. You can enable it in their accounts and get our kids contract. If you have kids of any age, if you go to komando.com/contract, it's a 3-page document that lets you sit with your kids and talk to them about all this kind of stuff. It's absolutely free. I encourage you to share it with everyone and anyone. And there are a few lessons here. Number one, know what your kids are doing on their phones and iPads. And lesson number two is sex tapes leaked on the internet never go away, even after you have kids. Number three on our list is if you need a repair on your iPhone, you can do it yourself because there's this big push called the Right to Repair Act. And basically, you know this, Apple has been very much against wanting you to crack open your iPhone or iPad or anything else to replace screens or batteries. But they have changed their stance totally. I mean, of course, because of government pressure. So the new iPhone 14 can be opened from the front and back. The screen is a lot easier to open than ever before. The Pro and the Pro Max, they don't open on both sides, and they have the same build as older iPhones. But this self-service repair is now available in the U.S. It means you can buy parts like batteries and cameras and displays and fix it all up. You can rent the tools for $49 instead of buying them. There are some caveats. Like, for example, the dedicated site sells over 200 parts from 10-cent screens to $300 displays. So you better choose wisely. The big thing, though, is you're not really always going to be saving a lot of money. Like replacing a cracked screen on an iPhone yourself, it's going to cost you around $237. Now, you're saving $40 from just having them do it. So I would have them do it for the $40, especially if it's a screen. But pretty soon, they're saying that some parts are going to be coming for the Apple Watch. But be careful. Those parts are small. You'll be working around the clock. Number 4 on our list of millennials don't have a vacay unless it's on social. That's right, the millennial generation. The cornerstone is, of course, social media. And millennials' lives truly revolve around it. And, of course, Gen Z does too. But this information comes courtesy of AT&T as part of its ongoing studies about all of its customers. So millennials, they say, stay in closer touch with family and friends when they're traveling than when they're at home with their families. Isn't that fascinating? That's because they're documenting everything they want you to see through social media. And the documentation isn't just for others to read. It seems they say in some way to verify the reality and what they're doing. More than 50% of all millennials don't feel that they have a real vacation. Okay. They're not in the Caribbean, they're not in Florida, they're not in Europe or Hawaii, wherever they're going. They're not there unless they're posting all about it while it's happening on social media. Isn't that fascinating? I don't know about you, but sometimes I really have to do it myself. I'm like, I'm going to put the phone down so I can enjoy the experience. Oh, and there's one more thing. If there's no free Wi-Fi, the millennials will not stay at that hotel. They just won't do it. And this coming in at number 5, a study into why this even exists. Can you think of anything more exciting than to watch than people studying? I actually looked at it myself the other day. No talking, no chatting, just people studying quietly with others as you're being watched over the internet. It apparently has been a thing for years. There are all kinds of YouTube channels with thousands of subscribers with pre-recorded, often hours-long study session. You just have to picture this. Somebody's just sitting there studying with their camera on. I'm not sure why. There's a website called Study Stream, and their co-founder told TechCrunch that they've seen about 4 million users come into the platform with onboarding streams to introduce new people. And when I checked that, there were about 1,032 people studying. Most of them had headphones on. So just imagine something like a Zoom call, 1,000 participants, no one says anything, there's nothing to see, just people looking at books or other screens, and they're studying. Reminds me of that frat guy studying to be a marine biologist. He was reading about algae, bro. Get it? Algae, bro. Ooh, I know. All right, coming up, we have a quick fix for your slow Wi-Fi. We have 3 top tried and true ways to get commercial photos and videos from your smartphone's camera. We have a tip about if someone's watching you with any of these hidden trackers. We have some simple ways to hide those risque photos that you don't want to miss. And of course, we have all of your phone calls, your fantastic phone calls, by the way, here on Kim Komando today. Hey, I'm super excited to tell you about that. We have a brand new service called GetKimsHelp.com. So whether it's a problem with your Wi-Fi, your printer, your smartphone, your computer, your TV, your smart speaker, or whatever it is, go to GetKimsHelp.com. They can fix most issues in 10 minutes or less, and it's high-tech troubleshooting tools like virtual house calls. Once again, that address is GetKimsHelp.com, GetKimsHelp.com. All right, let's see. How about we start with James? Hello there, James. Glad to have you with us.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for taking my call. So I wanted to find out what the best gaming computer I can get, well, a laptop actually, for about $2,000.
And what do you have right now?
So it's an older HP. I don't even know what model it is, but it's probably about 3 years old by now.
And it's big and it's heavy. Yeah, it's big, it's heavy, it's slow, it's oh my gosh, what should we be doing with that? So tell me, what kind of games are you guys playing?
So my daughter lives in Evansville, which is about 3 hours away from me, so we get online a lot and play games and talk. And so there's a lot of Steam games. Torchlight, I don't know if you heard of that one.
I haven't played that one. No, I haven't heard that one.
And a couple other ones, but that's the main one. And my laptop seems to be able to handle streaming okay, but when I try to fire up a game, it just can't keep up.
Yeah, well, and then it's no fun to play. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'd rather read a book. Okay, so much for that idea. Well, the good news is that you have a decent budget. And
right.
The big name in gaming laptops is Razer, and it's probably outside of your budget.
Okay.
But Hewlett-Packard makes I know you say you have a HP. I want you to look at something called go to omen.com, OMEN.com, omen.com.
Okay.
And they're made by HP, but
all right.
Tell you, they're beautiful, and they get rave reviews. They're super thin, 33 millimeters. The weight is about 8 pounds, which isn't bad because you're talking about a screen that diagonal, it's 17.3 inches. But it's super fast. It has really high frame rate. Inside, there's a NVIDIA GeForce 2080 graphics and card that it does have real-time ray tracing technologies, and so that's going to give you that graphics. And it's a beautiful machine, and it does a great job. You can get 2 years of accidental damage on this when you do buy it. That's up to you whether you want it. It's going to be another $200. But I think in this price point, take a look at the Omen laptops. Again, that's OMEN. And I think you'll be impressed, as everybody else is, that they really have come up with a decent gaming laptop that is I don't want to say the word affordable. I know it's $2,000, but it's going to last, and it's going to give you that true gaming experience. And James, thank you so much for your call. Hey, by the way, if you need just a regular old laptop, use our laptop quiz over at komando.com/laptop quiz. All right, who's up next? How about Patricia? Hi there, Patricia.
Oh, hello, Kim. Thank you so much for taking my call. I'm so excited to talk to you.
So how can I help you? What's going on?
Okay, I have a mother. She's elderly, in her 90s, and so she has all around the clock help. But I'm not with her, so I want something that I can use, like a spy camera that I can monitor. It doesn't have to be video. It could also be audio only, if, something like that. That is inconspicuous, that doesn't attract attention. I don't know if anything like that exists.
There's always two frames of thought with this, Patricia. You could put the, like an invisible spy cam, if you will, in her room. But there's also the idea that people act differently when they know that they're being recorded. Have you ever just put a camera out?
I have put a camera out. We used to have a wife, but it was, they just disconnected.
Oh, okay. That's not good. All right. So here's what I'm going to do is we're going to send you a link when I put you on hold. We're going to send you a link to a wireless hidden spy camera. It has night vision, motion detection alarm, and it has real-time monitoring. But what's nice about it is it looks like an air purifier. Okay? And so when somebody looks at it, they're going to go, oh, it's an air purifier. Isn't that great? But you're going to be able to see exactly what's going on in your mom's room without anybody knowing, and then you can track it. Because I'll tell you, we have all heard those horror stories of elderly people getting abused. We have. And it's just a smart idea to put a camera. And I'd also question why they're disconnecting that camera. That doesn't seem right to me. I would go and speak to their manager or ask them directly, this camera needs to be on here or else that person's out of the room. So I want to be able to see exactly what's happening with my mother. And that's my right, and I should be able to do that. So I'd probably push that envelope a little bit harder, Patricia, and put up a sign that say you are being recorded. So this way it's all visible. They know they're being recorded. But in case you want to try something a little bit more sneaky, we're going to send you a link on Amazon to this wireless Wi-Fi hidden spy camera that records it. You can have audio, video, and then you can see exactly what's going on in real time too. And thank you so much for your call. You know, these cams can be hidden in just about anything nowadays. We have a list of them over at Komando.com and talking about garage door openers that are hidden cameras, water bottles, yes, that are actually hidden cameras, and even fake remotes and Roku boxes that you can see on a table also are hidden spy cams. Just search over at Komando.com, use the word spy cameras, and I'm sure that tip's going to pop up for you. All right, let's talk about slow Wi-Fi. It's so painful, isn't it? Well, the first step is to pinpoint the issue. And so you want to check your connection speed and then compare the results with the speed that you're supposed to be getting from your ISP. See if there's any variance. So what you can do is go to speedtest.net, not a com, speedtest.net, or just search the keyword speed test on Google, and the first hit is going to be Google's very own speed test tool. So if you get a consistent megabytes, then what you want to do is if things are still wonky, just reboot everything. But I want you to be sure that you turn your modem and your router back on the right way. After a minute, first power up the modem and then do the router. If the speed is still slow, check for any unauthorized gadgets. It could be your neighbors. And for the steps to boot your neighbors off your network for good, once again, we have all those steps free for the taking over at Komando.com. Hey, stay right where you are. We've got 3 ways that you're going to get some better photos and videos. And of course, we have so many more phone calls here on Kim Komando today. All right, before we go back to your phone calls, let's talk about your photos and videos in your smartphone, okay? The cameras on our smartphone, they rival professional equipment. And here are some ways to make sure that you get the best photos and videos. So first, grab your smartphone, and I'm going to show you simple ways to take truly breathtaking photos. First, for videos, set your phone to always shoot in 4K and at the highest frame rate. Try 60 frames per second. And if your phone won't do 60, just use the highest rate. Next, make sure that you're shooting action scenes in slow motion. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but the effect is just beautiful. And then what you can do is pull an individual frame to use as a standalone photo. And now with photography, for the very, very, very best quality, one that can rival professional photos, do not use JPEG. You always want to shoot in the RAW. I know, there's always joke. I'm not going to shoot naked Kim Komando. No, RAW is the setting. It's the highest quality image that your camera can provide. Oh, and one more thing about photos. I bet you have a ton of duplicate photos clogging up your phone. Well, the new iOS 16 has a way to find all these duplicate photos, and then it will merge them. And I did it myself the other day. I had almost 3,600 duplicate photos. Yikes, that was way, way too much. All right, David, welcome to Kim Komando today.
Hello, Kim. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. So, what's on your mind?
Well, we have a lot of passwords we have to save, and been doing it paper and pen forever. I've been listening to you talk about some of these programs that save your passwords. I just have concerns about the security of the programs themselves.
Yeah, it's a valid concern. It is, because from time to time you hear about different password programs getting hacked, because if you're a hacker and if you're looking for passwords, it seems like if I could get your password manager, then I have all the keys to your entire kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact is that they are pretty. I want to say pretty locked down, 99.9%, maybe even 100% locked down. But I don't like to use 100% because everything's hackable. Everything, anything that you put online is hackable. But I haven't heard too many reports lately about password managers being hacked. There was one with LastPass, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, but then it turned out to be it was nothing. They didn't get customer data. It was kind of overinflated by some of the tech media, I think, as clickbait more than anything else. So if you're asking if you should be using a password manager, you certainly can. I'm on my MacBook. I just use the password manager that was built into the Mac. And you can do the same thing, or you can buy something like KeyPass is one, or RoboForm is actually a sponsor of the show. And you get 50% off. You go to roboform.com/Kim if you're interested in that one. But I would feel pretty confident with using a password manager because I think the average person right now has 110 different passwords, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it, right? It's like, oh my
you
gosh.
probably have more than that.
I mean, I can't even remember my ATM number anymore. So it's like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
But
you don't have to.
But the big thing is to protect that master password. That's going to be the one. And so make sure that master password, the password rules, right? I mean, don't use words in the dictionary, hieroglyphics, gang signs, multiple letters and uppercase numbers, exclamation points, whatever it may be. Just make sure that master password is really solid, really solid. And I'm going to do one better. And I'm just going to give you another point of advice. On that password, the master password, please make sure that you put that someplace that you trust for your in your estate documents, because if that person, when you're gone, if you want somebody to have access to all your passwords, to do your banking, sign into your accounts, to pay your bills, what have you, just make sure that master password is available to whoever is going to be looking at your estate docs. Now, a password manager is a really good way to do other things, like to prevent phishing scams. So like when you're using a password manager, you can autofill your username and password, but only if you're on the site that matches the domain that you input when you set up all the login details. So if you end up at a site because you accidentally clicked a phishing email, well, it's a different domain. The password manager will not auto-populate your account credentials. So if you're trying to log in and your username and password's not filled in, you're going to say, oh, what the heck? What's going on here? And that will probably make you double check the URL and realize that you are just about ready to hand everything over to a scammer. So really, a password manager is a clever way to also help you not get taken by these phishing scams. All right, we have a terrific tip about these hidden trackers, and it's brought to you this week by ExpressVPN. All right, I'm telling you, these are fabulous devices. I'm talking about the Apple AirTags. A friend of mine was talking about her mother. They're elderly, and then her father kept losing his wallet and his keys. And I said, you need to get some AirTags. And I said, as a matter of fact, come on over to my house. I had 4 laying around with some keychains. And then her mother sent me a very nice text saying, yes, now I know where everything is. But the problem is that you need to be able to find out if somebody's using them maliciously on you. So Apple's going to alert you if you're being tracked. Along with the sound, you get a notification on your phone. If you're on Android, this is the problem. You actually have to download a Tractor Detect app from the Google Play Store, but it takes 10 minutes to find it. Oof, it does not send automatic alerts. It needs to run the scans manually. So what can you do about this? Of course, you're going to look on your person and your bags to see if anybody has hidden an AirTag on there. But if you're in a domestic violence situation or in a relationship with someone who you don't trust and they have an iPhone, let me tell you, bottom line is you just need an iPhone too. And by the way, iOS 16 has some safety check features and you get alerts about these trackers too. We have more information, of course, over on our website at Komando.com. All right, we have more of your phone calls to come, as well as some simple ways to hide those risque photos. You know what I'm talking about here on Kim Komando today. All right, let's see. Tony, you're up next here on Kim Komando today. So glad you got through. How can I lend a hand?
Hey, Kim. Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
You betcha.
I had a fall a few weeks ago. I live alone, and
Okay.
I'm in my 60s.
Okay.
And it got me to thinking, because I broke my wrist, and fortunately there was somebody else here that helped me get up. But I got to thinking that it would be nice to have some type of a smart device, smartwatch, something that I could put on that doesn't look like that medic alert thing that you put around your neck that 100-year-old folks wear. You know, I don't want that. I want something that will basically tell time, that I could either call or someone can detect that there's been a fall or can call me or something. That would be
All right.
not have a whole lot of super programming stuff that needs to be done, because I'm a techno nerd.
Here's the deal, Tony. Is that, you know, one of the most beautiful things that you could, one of the greatest, let me say not beautiful, one of the greatest things that you could add to your life is an Apple Watch. An Apple Watch
I'm an Android
does.
person.
Well, let me tell you about the Apple Watch, and then let's talk about some options, okay? Because you said you don't want to put this medical alert around you. When it comes to fall detection, you've got a couple of technologies out there. By far, the Apple Watch is number one. And the battery life is 18 hours. It does detect a fall and will automatically call emergency services or your emergency contact. And it doesn't require a monthly fee. A lot of these medical guardians, the life stations, the hands-free, the Bay Alarm, smartwatch, is that there's a monthly fee anywhere between, say, $40, $35, up to $70 or more. So if you buy an Apple Watch for $300, you're not looking at any type of monthly fee. And it does work. Now, aside from the fall detection, is that if you can also track you can take an ECG, you get your blood oxygen, it does health tracking, you get your steps, it gives you some motivation to get your butt off the couch if you haven't done anything that day. And it really is a very thought-provoking device that makes differences in people's lives. I can't tell you how many times I've read that a woman was out gardening, I think in New Jersey, and she fell while she was gardening, and she was able to call for help, the watch called for help automatically. And so her life was saved because of that. So if you're asking me for the best fall detection for your wrist, that's going to be it. And now, I know you say you're a Samsung, but this is the device that if you lived alone and you're my sister, I'm going to say, you know what, Tony, you just got to get this and go buy yourself a cheap iPhone. Because if you do live alone, that this is it. Now, there are other options. When you fell, how were you able to get help?
Actually, it was a service guy was coming here to do some measurements, and he got me up.
Okay, all right. Do you have other family members that would maybe have an Amazon Echo device, a smart speaker?
No.
Okay. You could, on your Android device, there are some apps, and I'm happy to do some research for you. I can't think of them right off my top of my head, but I know that they exist. There are some safety apps and security apps that you could say, I need help, and then use the word. I don't want to use the word because then everybody's phones are going to go off. And so you'd ask your assistant to call for help. And so those are some you could put that on your phone right now. The reason why I ask if you had family members who had Amazon Echo devices, that also has a way for you to say call for help. But you could also do that on your phone itself, where you could call a friend or a family member. And just by using your voice, you could do that. But there's another watch called Kaneja, Kaneja. I'm going to send you a link to that, and maybe that's more interesting for you. But there is a monthly fee of $60. So it depends how likely you are to fall,
Right.
and where you're likely to fall. And I remember once my mom fell, and I had to call 911 to help me get her up. And that's a really hard position to be in. No pun intended. I mean, that's difficult
Right.
to be in that position.
Right.
And that's why I really like the idea of you having something on your wrist. I really do. And
Yeah, that's my first thought, was something on my wrist that I would wear like a watch. And I did think of the Apple Watch, but then I'm not just. And I know that the Apple products have improved so much from that little tiny, tiny screen that they used to have years ago, which was my first introduction to Apple, which was why I didn't. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it well enough to operate it, so it was just really frustrating for me. So,
Sure.
And it may be I would get a cheap Apple now, and it would be fine, So.
Well, I think it's worth you having a second look at it. I like to give people different options, but if in your position, like I said, if you're my sister, I'm going to tell you, hey, listen, sis, you need this. Okay, I mean, this is where it's at. If you fall, we don't want you sitting there for 24 hours or overnight or whatever it may be. I mean, it's really something that I think if you go to an Apple store, you look at it, and I think you're really gonna like it, and it's really gonna give you peace of mind too, Tony. It will, because now you'll know you can be with confidence if something happens. You have that help right there on your wrist, and isn't that just a marvelous piece of technology that can do that? Thanks for your call today, Tony. Your phone is always with you, and it really can be a lifeline in an emergency. But what you have to do is you have to set up emergency contacts first, so that this way it will call emergency services and send notifications and updates to whoever you say are your personal emergency contacts when it's triggered. But you have to set this up beforehand, and that's the big takeaway I want you to have here. And on your iPhone, it goes into medical ID and emergency contacts. And then also on your Android, it's called the Safety app. And in case you're wondering, like, how do I set that up, Kim Komando? Well, just head over to Komando.com. That's the website for the show and podcast, of course. And just type in SOS emergency features, and I'm sure that tip is going to pop right up. And we walk you through everything just step by step. So that's really important. Hey, just a quick reminder about our brand new service that we're all excited about, GetKimsHelp.com. So if you ever need some tech support, I know you can Google things, but sometimes you need somebody to hold your hand. Head over to GetKimsHelp.com. Once again, that's GetKimsHelp.com. All right, let's start with those risque photos on your iPhone. Many people have no idea that the Photos app will let you hide photos and videos very quickly. You just tap the share button. One looks like the box with the arrow pointing up, and select hide. Yes, it's going to be gone from your feed, and it won't appear in searches either. And in Photos, in case you want to see it, you have to go back to hidden. Now, for Android or iOS folks using Google Photos, just tap the menu button, the three dots, and then select Move to Archive. And then that photo might show up in a search, though, so you want to keep that in mind. Hey, thanks for listening to Kim Komando today. So reach over and give me a nice 5-star review. Yes, thank you. And thanks for listening.